Picture this. It's February 2026. The sun is just starting to rise over APJ Abdul Kalam Island of India's eastern coast. But what happens next is no ordinary sunrise. In a flash, a 17-meter pillar of fire tears a hole in the atmosphere, a man-made star climbing on a massive column of smoke. That is the Agni-3 missile. And its journey, well, it's way more than just a test flight. It's a strategic message broadcast loud and clear to the entire world. So you might be thinking, hold on, in a world that's buzzing about hypersonic weapons and space-based everything, why are we talking about a missile with a 3,000-kilometer range? That is a great question, and the answer is that this successful test by India's Strategic Forces Command, it isn't just some routine checkup. It's a very deliberate move and high-stakes geopolitical chess match, a move that's reshaping the balance of power in Asia. And today, we're going to break down exactly why that is. You know, if you read the official press release from the Ministry of Defense, it was all very low-key. They called the launch a routine user training, just something to validate the weapon system. But let me tell you, in the world of nuclear strategy, the word routine is almost always a massive understatement. It's code. It's a way of showing what you can do without shouting it from the rooftops and escalating tensions. But the real story, the one that matters, is buried in the technical details, right here. First, this test wasn't done by scientists in lab coats. It was done by the actual soldiers of the Strategic Forces Command, the very people who would use it in a real crisis. And second, and this is crucial, it uses a two-stage solid propellant and was fired from a mobile launcher. Those two facts right there, they are the absolute key to understanding the Agni-3's incredible strategic power. So why are those details so important? It all comes down to one word: survivability. Think about it. A missile sitting in a fixed, concrete silo is basically a sitting duck. Your enemy knows exactly where it is. But a missile on the back of a truck or on a train car that can disappear into the vastness of the Indian subcontinent, that's not a sitting duck. That's a ghost. It's a weapon that can survive a surprise first attack and absolutely guarantee a devastating response. This is what's known as second strike capability, and it is the bedrock of India's entire nuclear doctrine. Okay, so how exactly does this ghost work? To really appreciate what makes the Agni-3 the backbone of India's intermediate-range arsenal, we need to pop the hood and look at the brilliant engineering that goes into it. This thing is a marvel of homegrown technology, born from decades of pure persistence. The first, and maybe the most critical choice, was to use solid propellant. The best way to think about it is like a giant, perfectly stable firework. The fuel is already mixed in and solid, which means the missile can just sit in a warehouse for years on end, totally ready to go. When the order comes through, it can be launched in a matter of minutes. That gives you a massive tactical edge over older liquid-fueled missiles. And this chart just lays it out perfectly. Liquid fuel is nasty stuff. It's corrosive, it's dangerous, and it takes a long time to pump into the missile right before launch. And all that time you're fueling it, the missile is a huge, vulnerable target. With solid fuel, you just erase that entire window of vulnerability. In a nuclear standoff, those minutes you save, well, they could literally be the difference between keeping the peace and an unthinkable war. And it's not just the fuel. The Agni-3 is packed with some seriously advanced technology. The warhead is protected by a special carbon-carbon heat shield that lets it survive the absolutely hellish temperatures of re-entering the atmosphere from space. And its guidance system? It uses a super accurate ring laser gyro. Think of it as a highly sophisticated internal compass that allows it to hit a target the size of a military base from 3,000 kilometers away. It's not just a sledgehammer, it's a scalpel. So, all this incredible technology, all this precision, but why that specific range, 3,000 kilometers? That number wasn't just pulled out of a hat. The Agni-3 was engineered from the ground up with one specific primary strategic challenge in mind. And that challenge lies directly to India's north. You see, for decades, there was this really dangerous imbalance in the region. China had an arsenal of missiles that could reach every single major city in India. But India's missiles? They just didn't have the legs to reach China's most important economic and political centers, like Beijing and Shanghai on the East Coast. That's what strategists call a deterrence asymmetry, and it's a very unstable situation. And then, Agni-3 arrived, and it completely rewrote this strategic math. All of a sudden, the game was different. A missile with a 3,000-kilometer range fired from northeastern India puts the country's most vital economic hubs, Shanghai, Beijing, squarely in the crosshairs.
This creates a regional balance of terror, a sort of local version of mutually assured destruction, which ironically makes the entire region more stable.
This is the unspoken message that gets sent with every single successful test of the Agni-3. It's not written on the side of the missile, but the signal is crystal clear. It says, if you decide to escalate a border skirmish in the Himalayas, just remember, your most valuable economic centers, the engines of your prosperity, are now within our reach. It's a powerful diplomatic statement wrapped in a weapon system. Now, a weapon this significant doesn't just appear out of thin air. The Agni-3 is the result of a long, often difficult journey. It's a testament to a decades-long vision of strategic independence. And to really understand its role today, you've got to look back at where it came from and the very strict rules that control its use. This whole story really kicks off back in 1983 with the legendary Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, the missile man of India. At a time when India was facing international sanctions, its scientists pushed forward on their own, and it wasn't easy. There were major setbacks, like in 2006, when the very first test of the Agni-3 was a failure. It was a moment of huge national disappointment, and a lot of I told you so from around the world. But they didn't quit. They got back to work, and just 1 year later, they nailed it, proving the design worked. And today, it's a fully proven operational system in the hands of the military. So with all this power, who actually holds the key? Who gets to push the button? Well, the command and control structure is incredibly rigid. And for good reason. The missile is handled by the elite Tri-Service Strategic Forces Command, but they can't do a thing without an order. That order can only, and I mean only, come from the Political Council of the Nuclear Command Authority, which is chaired by the Prime Minister of India. It's all governed by India's official no first use policy. But, and this is a huge but, that policy also states that any nuclear, chemical, or biological attack on India will be met with a massive, devastating retaliation designed to inflict unacceptable damage. But believe me, this story doesn't end with Agni-3. Its success is really a launch pad for the next level of technology, and that is MIRV, Multiple Independently Targetable Re-entry Vehicles. Basically, this is technology that lets you pack multiple nuclear warheads onto a single missile, with each one capable of hitting a totally different city or target. It's a game changer that makes missile defense systems almost useless and multiplies a missile's deterrent power exponentially. So when you boil it all down, what is the Agni-3? Is it just another piece of military hardware? I don't think so. In today's complex, multipolar world, it really represents strategic autonomy. It's a tool that's designed not to fight a war, but to prevent one. It's a pillar of fire, standing guard over the sovereignty of 1.4 billion people, making sure that their future stays in their own hands. And all of this leaves us with one final and very tough question. A question I really want you to think about. Is the constant improvement of missile technology like the Agni-3 a necessary tool to keep the peace and maintain stability in a pretty dangerous world? Or is it just throwing fuel on the fire of a new, more advanced, and potentially far more dangerous arms race in Asia? That's the debate that's going to define the next few decades, and it's one we all have a stake in.